So for today, so the work that we're going to do today is the hips and the pelvis, because one of the things that we have to prepare ourselves for is awareness of the pelvis. So we're going to pretend this is our pelvis. Pelvis, baby, must be aligned. And we talked about this at the partner workshop, right? So baby needs to be aligned in the belly, like over the pelvis. And we need to bring awareness of the pelvis. So sometimes we get into, if we're sedentary, if we're sitting a lot, we get into patterns of holding the pelvis in a way that doesn't help baby move into position. So what we're going to be working on today is really working a lot of hip action, talking about pelvis forward and backward. And the other aspect of hip that I want to talk about is asymmetrical hip, right? So when we're in birth, so we talked about positions for birth being belly forward. The reason for belly forward is actually because it gets your hips forward, right? So we're going to be practicing belly forward, hips forward, but we're going to take it a step further and talk about asymmetrical hips. So we want to have asymmetrical hips because asymmetrical hips, you can imagine, our pelvic bones are separate. They are connected, but they can move, we can move one forward and one back and find different space. We want to have the ability to move our pelvis during labor one way or another to create more space. When the pelvis is moving front to back, forward, we have more space. We also can create more space by taking one hip forward and one hip back, right? So we're going to be doing some stuff today that I want you to kind of anchor into your mind. And then if you're following along in the online course, the theme for the week is root chakra. So root chakra is a really important element. The root chakra is the earth. It's associated with the pelvic floor, the glutes, and the legs. So today's practice of focusing on the hips and focusing on kind of different positions of the hips and legs in relation to each other is going to, hopefully, will feel and create a feeling of grounding in your body, right? A grounding in present time. So this is a really useful practice for this, all the stuff that's going on right now. Let's begin. Set yourself up with your mat. We're going to start seated. And I'd like you to sit on, if you have a blanket, great. If you have a block, that's fine. You can sit on your block with the block between your hips. So turn it this way, long ways like this. And have a seat on it, or if you have a blanket, you can do the blanket underneath you, facing the front edge of your mat. Just close your eyes and become aware of the breath. Calling all of yourself here and now. Your mind, body, and breath. Anchor your awareness of your breath down into the bottom of the ribs, the bottom of the lungs. So just notice as you inhale, see if you can notice the ribs expanding softly. And as you exhale, the ribs hugging in. Inhale, the ribs expanding. Exhale, the ribs hugging in. Bring your awareness further down to the pelvic floor. Ribs expand, pelvic floor expands. Exhale, lifting and hugging in. So we're just gradually activating the pelvic floor, squeezing out the legs. Exhale, hug everything out. One more, inhale. And exhale. Good. Bring your hands to your hips and now start to undulate, almost like cat and cow, but we're sitting on our hips. So inhale, take the pelvis forward, arch the spine. Exhale, tuck the tailbone under, round to the upper body, tuck the chin. So it's like cat and cow, but seated. Inhale, open. Exhale, rounding. Inhale, open. Exhale, rounding. Start to feel the flow of your breath guiding your body. Inhaling and exhaling. 2 more. Take your time, opening the body as you inhale, including the pelvic floor, and exhaling, rounding. Last one, opening and rounding. Good. Come to a neutral spine. Take both arms up overhead. Interlace your fingers and take a little side stretch. And then shine the shoulders down like you're looking down at the floor. Breathe into your back ribs. Breathe in. Breathe out. Inhale, side stretch again. And exhale back to center. Inhale over to the other side, side stretch. Inhale. Exhale, round that top shoulder down. Breathe into the back of the waist. All the way down there. Yeah, exhale. Inhale, back to the side. Expand those ribs and exhale. Good. Release the arms. Take the shoulders in a circle. And go the other way. You're going to come onto all fours, so stay here. Just going to come onto all fours. You can place a block between your knees. So coming onto all fours here, you can tuck your toes and lengthen through the spine. Exhale, push the floor away, round through the spine. Inhale, open, lengthen the spine. Exhale, rounding, release the spine. Last one, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, push the floor away, rounding through the spine. Now stay here for your inhale. Breathe into the back of the waist, go mid and low back. And then exhale, neutral spine. We're going to come into downward dog while squeezing the block. So walk your hands forward a little bit. And then as you exhale, tuck your toes, squeeze the block, and reach the hips up and back. Gazing at your block. So you can have your knees bent a little bit if you need to. Looking at your block, send the weight back to your feet. Gazing at your block, 1, 3 breaths. 2, bend your knees, lift the hips up and back. And 3, squeeze the block a lot and place both knees back on the floor. Good. Take your knees apart. Big toes touch, hips back towards the heels. Take child's pose. Now if the floor feels too far away or it's too squishy in the low belly, you can place a block under your forehead. So here, find space, forehead on the block or the floor. Imagine a full line of energy from the crown with the third eye all the way to the pelvic floor. As you inhale, expand the pelvic floor. Exhale, squeeze, engage. Inhale, relax the back and the hips. Exhale, squeeze and lift. Last one, inhale, squeeze, good. And exhale, lift and squeeze. Inhale, come back to center. You're gonna gather your blocks underneath your hands and come to stand at the front of your mat in a forward fold. Hanging over Uttanasana, forward fold. Good. Just hang here, hands on the blocks for support. As you inhale, just come up halfway. Exhale, the forehead down. Inhale, bend your knees and roll through the spine 1 vertebra at a time. Good. All right, we see our legs. Inhale, the arms up overhead. Exhale, dive forward, find your blocks, release your head. Inhale, long spine. Step your right foot forward and the left foot back and come onto a low lunge. Okay, so come onto a low lunge, meaning the back knee is down. You're gonna rise up in the upper body. So take your hips back for a second and find the hip moving back. Good, and now keep the hip moving back as you lunge forward. Sometimes what happens is this hip goes forward and we turn out. You wanna keep the hip moving back as you lunge forward. You're gonna feel this glute maybe a little bit. Good. Inhale, lengthen through the arms, up overhead. Exhale, hands through the middle of the body. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Stamp down with your right foot. You're gonna feel this right glute. Exhale through the middle. So part of what we're doing here is also starting to condition the body. Inhale to be strong. Inhale. Exhale, hugging down. One more. Keep that hip, that right foot stamping down. Inhale, arms lift. And exhale. Good. Find your blocks. Shift the weight back in space. That right leg straightens forward. And once again, we're going to take this right hip and move it back in space. Good. So the right toes are flexed, way back. Good, Carlene? Yes? Great. So keeping that right hip back, hands to the blocks. Lengthen through the spine. Exhale, hinge forward. Warming up the body, we're going to talk about specifically how we apply this to birth in a little bit. Exhale, hinging forward, release forward, let it go. Stay down in your forward fold. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale. Next, come back to all fours. Now, walk slightly forward to your feet, tuck your back toes, lengthen up. So here, I just want you to reach through the front of the body, and then exhale, shift the weight back in space and take a little bow. So we're asking a little more of the legs now, bringing them into a high lunge, keeping that back leg nice and buoyant. The back leg is lifted. Look up, exhale, bowing, release the head. Inhale, rocking forward. And exhale, hinging back. Good. Last one, you're gonna drop your back knee to the ground, take your block inside your front leg. Heel toe your front foot to the front edge of your, or the outer edge of your mat. Untuck those back toes. And we're gonna come onto, from the hands on the blocks, we're gonna lower them to the floor. See how that feels. So we want to get a little bit into the pelvic floor here, like it's starting to open, this asymmetrical stretch to the hips. And then take your right foot, turn the right foot out, and let the knee fall out to the side. Maybe if you have room, you can peel the inside edge of your foot off the ground. Exhale. Notice your breath. Inhale. Exhale. Peel your foot back onto the floor, and then your left hand is going to drop onto, so I just turned my other block down one notch, so down to the middle level, and you're going to place your forearm on that block. Yeah. So you're just gradually getting a little bit deeper and deeper and deeper into the pelvis. Breathing deeply. Just notice as we get a little bit deeper into the hips, a little bit deeper into the body, if the breath starts to change. And can you practice welcoming sensation in the body and staying equanimous in the breath? So the breath doesn't change as best you can. Good. Then slowly come back up, back out, onto all fours, cat and cow. Inhale. Exhale, push the floor away. Just notice any difference between the right and left. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, rounding. Inhale, neutral spine. You're going to tuck your toes and reach the hips up and back to downward facing dog again. Looking at your baby. 3 breaths here. Reaching those legs and hips up and back. Bend your knees if you need to. 1, 2. Engaging the pelvic floor if you can in this upside down position. And 3. Come on down to your knees. Bring your blocks back onto the mat. You're going to step your legs, your left leg forward now. So other side. So again, take your left thumb into your left hip crease, and you want to draw that left hip back, right? So we want the hip points to be square. Nice, that's it. And then rock forward into that front knee without letting the left hip come forward. Yeah, good. So you're gonna feel that left glute working. Stamp down into that front left foot and lift the upper body up. Take the arms, keep the weight forward, pressing into that front foot. Inhale, open. Exhale, hands to the midline. You can imagine gathering energy. Inhale, arms lift, keep stamping into that left foot. Exhale, almost like you're gonna lift that back knee off the ground in any second now. So there's a lot of work happening in that front left leg. Inhale, open. Exhale, releasing. Nice, hands to your blocks. Shift weight back in space. Lengthen through your left leg. Again, draw that left hip crease back. So if you had a measure here, the hip points would be level with the front end of your mat. Lengthen the spine, inhale, and think of your pelvis like a bowl. Imagine this is your pelvis. You want to tip the pelvis forward. So you're almost like reaching with baby toward the knee. Yeah. You're gonna feel it a lot in the hamstring and possibly the glute if you have any tightness there. What happened to your breath? Did you hold your breath? Yeah or no? Good. We wanna try to not hold the breath. Try to redirect the breath deep and even. Deep breath. Deep hinging. Exhale, forward fold. Move into the belly of the hamstring. Deep breath. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Inhale. Exhale. Nice. Now come forward into a lunge. Tuck your back toes and lengthen the back leg. Yes. Now, this one, we're going to keep the back leg nice and strong. Inhale, look forward. Keep the back knee lifted. Exhale, straighten your front leg and take a bow. Inhale, keep the back leg lifted. Look forward. Exhale, take a bow. Good. Inhale, looking forward. Keep the back leg lifted. Exhale, bow forward. Draw that left hip back a lot. Deep breath. Stay here for a breath. Exhale, bow. Deep breath. Practice how you breathe when you feel sensation in your body. Yes. We're setting up a new pattern of relating to sensation in the body. Practicing this now. Bend your front knee, set the back knee down. Now we're going to take both blocks inside the front knee. Coming into a low lunge, take this outer block and set it on the next level down. We're going to drop the forearm down, and then, can't see the other leg, but we did it on the other side. You're going to take that other leg, the left leg, and heel toe it out to the edge of your mat. Then take the toes, turn the toes out, and then maybe, only if it feels possible, maybe start to peel the inner edge of the left foot off the ground as you breathe. What happened to your breathing? You find that equal long breath as you move, as you deepen. Inhale, walk your foot back onto the mat. Good, hands onto the floor. Both legs back for cat and cow. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, rounding. Inhale, lengthen. exhale, rounding. Inhale, neutral spine, tuck your toes. So we're gonna take downward dog for 5 breaths. If you liked it with the block, go ahead and add the block. It's just an added level of stability for the legs and hips. Squeeze the block, lift the hips up and back as you press. 5 breaths here. 1. You can bend the knees if you need to. 2. 3. 4. 5. Squeeze the block, set the knees down. Nice. You're going to swing your legs around out in front of you and place your feet flat on the ground. The hands behind you. Open your feet wide to the outer edges of your mat. You're just going to rock your knees in. Little counter pose for a little hip opening that we've done. Lightly going back and forth for a moment, and then just pick a side and hang out there for a few breaths. Again, just establishing this practice of breathing into and through sensations in the body. Other side. Back to center. And then I'd like you to come onto your back from a side entry. So you're going to come onto your side and grab one of your blocks, have one of your blocks handy. So I'm going to actually angle my mat a little bit so you can see. I think you'll be able to see okay, but I think an angle may help a little bit. All right, so you're going to be on your side, coming into a bridge pose. So roll onto your back just for a moment. Lift the hips and then rise onto the toes to make extra space. Glide your block underneath your hips. Let the feet rest flat again against the floor. And then you're going to float your right knee up to your right shoulder. Take your left leg and glide it out gently along the floor, elongating that left leg. Now, take your pelvis, you might need to inch a little bit. You want to have, as your right knee comes toward your right shoulder, let the pelvis tip back toward your pelvis is going to tip back up towards your chest or towards your heart. So it might cause the knee to bend a little bit. That's okay. Yeah, exactly. So let the pelvis rock back up. So this is actually helping to bring the pelvis back in and up. So baby is kind of like hanging out in front of the pelvis. This is a move you can actually do during labor. If they tell you baby is high and hasn't quite, it's like getting hung out at the very top of your pelvis, like it hasn't moved down into your pelvis yet. You can come into this posture at the end of your bed, of your hospital bed. And your leg that's hanging out would actually be hanging down off the bed. But we can do this here on the ground, and just know during pregnancy, it's just helping the back, the low back to elongate. It's helping the pelvis kind of move in the opposite direction from where it usually is during our standing. But we're not putting pressure on the pelvis in this posture. We're lying down. So just take a few more deep breaths here. If it feels comfortable, start to extend that left leg long. Good. And then slowly bring the bottom leg to the ground first. Release the right leg down and take it to the other side. How does that feel, everybody? Good. Okay. Any questions? Okay, let's try the other side. So left knee comes up, right leg extends out. Don't worry about getting it straight just yet. So as the knee comes up towards the left shoulder, the pelvis starts to tip toward, so the pubic bone comes up toward the heart. And then from that place, then start to straighten the leg. If you've done a lot of sitting, you might feel pretty good stretch in psoas, or even just the hip flexor right at the surface at the top of your right thigh.
So am I pulling the ASIS in towards my belly button?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. And notice here if you're holding your breath. Holding your breath is often a natural response to any kind of change in sensation. In birth, we do not want to hold our breath. We want to keep the breath flowing, especially the exhale, or especially the inhale if we're starting to feel tired. So use your awareness of how the body naturally responds to sensation and practice. Practice breathing. Good. Slowly release the bottom leg. Top leg comes back to center. You're going to bring your feet pretty close, lift up the heel, and glide off again, coming onto your side body. Okay. The next thing I wanted us to do is going to be a little creative on the floor, but I'll send you afterwards a picture of this. I want to get into a release technique that could be really beneficial now in like in the evening, your home stretch. I feel like it's similar to what we do in pigeon, but it's called, in spinning babies technique, it's called the sideline release. And we can approximate it here on the floor. I think it feels really nice. And it's just a really good way to help if we have tension in the pelvis, it helps you release tension. So I'd like you to find your blanket and lay it long ways on your mat. And let the bottom of your blanket come to your hip, your waist. And then if you can take your block and place it on under your hip. So we're gonna kind of like lay on that, a little bit inverted, right? I don't know if you can see. So your hip is on the block. Your hip is on the block and your upper body is on your blanket. So what I want you to do is to take this top leg, take the knee, and just let the knee relax down. So you don't need to stretch it out. It's okay if you have that flexibility, you can, but let the knee drop down. Now, here are a couple important points about this sideline release. You want the ribs and the pelvis to stay stacked. It's quite lovely, right?
My blind dog is like in my face right now.
Aw. To help. So what often happens in sideline release is that this top hip wants to like roll forward, and that actually defeats the purpose, the work of the hip sideline release. So the biggest point of the sideline release is that this top hip point, that ASIS point that she talked about, that's your hip bone right here. This hip bone needs to be stacked right on top of the bottom hip bone. So no matter what, that hip bone, so if you have a partner that wants to help you with this tonight, you can lay on the side of the bed or the side of the couch and have your partner hold your pelvis back, your top hip back, as you drop your leg off. You can already like probably start to feel a little release in that top glute, right? Once again, notice if you're breathing. Take a few extra breaths. 1, 2, and 3. Good. Now that Lisa's in, let's get out. Take your time. If you need to do a little longer, take your time. Okay, to come out of this, I want you to roll forward, push into the floor. We'll set up for the other side. So again, you're going to set your blanket up with the block at the bottom. So the block this way, the long way, is going to take your hip. You're going to sit on the block and then let your side body relax on the, So yeah, so it's fine if the hip is a little higher than the shoulders. So this top hip, so again, we don't want to let the hip come forward. We want this hip bone, this as is, this bony hip, to be right on top of the bottom hip. And so again, if we have a partner would put their hand right here and hold your hip back. You can even apply your own hand as you drop the leg down. So just breathe here. You'll start to feel, and what's cool, here's another little technique trick. You can, your partner who is holding, you with your hand, start to wiggle, start to shake it. And you will feel, if you have somebody holding you here, so the person would actually be standing in front of you, not behind you. They would stand in front of you so that you're not going to fall off. And they would be pushing against your hip and maybe shaking your hip a little. And it only takes like, I don't know, a few breaths, and your leg will start to drop and drop. This is a really important release to know now and through into your birth. This sideline release, because we have one hip moving, releasing forward, we're starting to create that asymmetry in the pelvis that gives baby more room to move. Keep breathing. Helping baby move a little deeper down into the pelvis and releasing any kind of ligaments in the back that might be keeping baby kind of stuck. Good. One more breath here. And if this is too hard on the floor, later tonight, I want you to practice it on your couch with your partner in front of you. So your partner would be standing right here with his or her hand on your hip as you drop the leg forward, right? So we have at the back of our, here, I have this actually really fun thing. I need to get my pelvis is at my sister's house right now, and obviously we're not getting anything. I have a uterus. Lisa, you'll like this. It's knitted. This is a uterus. There's our ovaries. So, but these purple things are ligaments, right? So we have these ligaments which attach the uterus to the pelvis. This is the back. This is the opening, the circle opening. We have ligaments at the front and at the back. I don't know if you can see. So these ligaments attach into the pelvis in the front and in the back. These intrauterine ligaments are connected into the pelvis, right? So the uterus is sitting inside our body, and these ligaments, sometimes they can be, like if they're hanging equally, and obviously this is upside down. If they're hanging like this, if the uterus is level, they're good. But sometimes one will be longer than the other, and baby can be trying to be born in this position when the uterus is kind of askew and the ligaments are tight or elongated. So these sideline releases and these inversions that we're doing are helping to, when we turn it upside down, especially, right? We're letting these ligaments become equal, right? To lengthen, because sometimes we can have one that's like, you know, a little bit shorter or a little more kinked, and causing the uterus to actually, you know, if one side is shorter than the other, what's going to happen? It's going to be the skew, right? So if we can keep both sides equally long, we're going to just help the uterus itself be in a better place. So when baby is trying to move down, we don't have impingements or situations in the uterus itself being off center. So these sideline releases and these asymmetrical postures that you're going to practice this week are really useful in helping balance the pelvis. All right, so let's come back onto our mat. We'll do just a couple more things to even everything out, and then we're going to finish with some discussion about how these things apply in birth. Okay, so come back onto your mat. Let's pick up where we left off. Come back onto all fours and take a downward facing dog, lifting our hips up and back, stretching out. lift your right leg up just parallel to the floor. And just see how your pelvis shifts or stays steady. Breathe. Exhale, set it down, other side. Keeping your pelvis level for now. Exhale, set it down. This time we're going to open the pelvis. So take the right leg high, bend the knee, and open the pelvis to the side. Lift your knee towards the sky, twirl the foot. And then exhale, set it down. Left side, left leg reaches. Open the left pelvis to the side, point the knee to the sky, and twirl the foot. Lengthen through the leg. Exhale, set it down. Come on to all fours. Pause in child's pose. Knees wide. Big toes touch. Let the forehead rest on a block or blanket. Stay here for 10 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. Slowly make your way up. So 10 breaths is approximately 1 minute. We have generally, during labor, our breaks are 5 minutes or 20 minutes. So part of our work as we progress here is going to be practicing resting, right? Sometimes the resting mind is a wandering mind. And what we're going to practice is our different techniques to focus the mind while you're resting. We're going to finish in with pigeon pose. So to do this with a little bit of support, take your blanket and fold it into a little square on the right side of your mat. You're going to come over your blanket with the hands in front of your blanket, the knees behind. Take your right knee in front, just inside the right wrist. You're going to tuck your back toes and inch your left knee back, but don't let the hip come back. So here we are again with that hip hugging back. Yeah. So you can either just stay here. If this feels like a good stretch, you're going to stay here for a few breaths. Or if you want it to be a little more restful, take your hands to your blocks, forearms down. Breathing here. If you want to go a little deeper, you can turn your block to the highest level and let the forehead rest on the block, forearms on the ground. Notice where the mind goes, notice where the breath goes, and see if you can direct it to the breath. Notice what you notice in the body. Notice what you hear with the ears. And bring everything back to the most subtle level, breath and body. 3 more breaths. 3, 2, and 1. Take your time, take an inhale, rise up slowly, and switch the order of your legs. So take your time, moving the block or the blanket over to the other side. Hands forward, bring that left knee inside the left wrist. Back toe touches so that you can inch the knee back, but we're not letting the hip go back. So the right hip still stays forward. Good. That's it. Breathing here. You can untuck the back toes when you reach a place that feels pretty good. And then stacking forearms on the block. Deep breath. 1. 5 breaths all together. 2. 3. 4. 5. Slowly rise up. Coming back to all fours. Final downward dog of the day. Lift the hips up and back. Gazing at your baby. 3 breaths here. Breathing deeply through the nose if you can. 1. 2. 3. On down to your knees. We're going to set up for a little relaxation before we have discussion. So if you have a bolster, do you guys have a bolster handy? If not, we can do it against the wall. If you have a bolster, let's do that. So bolster, L shape with your blocks. Take your bolster, lean it up against. My bolster's across the way. Bring the hips back to the bolster. Soles of the feet together. And let's use the blanket the way we do, wrapped around the feet, over the feet, and behind, under the thighs. Yep. Ease on back. Take a deep breath. Let go. Bring your awareness to the back side of your body. Notice where the back body is supported. And allow those supported parts of your body to be supported even more. So that the other parts, the neighboring parts of your body, are encouraged to relax as well. Bring your awareness to the base of your spine. Find here a red glowing ball of energy, glowing like the core of the earth. Feel this warm, molten energy running down your legs, through your knees, and into your feet and toes. Feel this running through your feet, through your legs, through your seat, and seeping into the floor beneath you, through the floor and down into the earth, burrowing between rocks and roots, finding nourishment, support, and stability. Feel this connection of energy as an anchor, settling you, calming you. grounding. You are here. You are connected. You are solid, but you are molten inside. Deep within your roots, you find your past, your memories, your primal self. Your connection here is simple, direct. You remember your heritage, your ancient self as a child of the earth. She is your teacher. What is it she wants to tell you today? As you begin to receive the stability, this grounding, this calming sensation from the earth, feel yourself now in constant exchange with the earth, letting the feeling of abundance, prosperity in all forms, richness, connection, and being here now. Allow it to come up from the earth into your body, nourishing you back. And then take a deep breath and let it go again, down to the earth. Opening up the channel of giving and receiving to this primal space of stability, nourishment, and peace. Your body is the journey. The body is where you begin. It is your connection to the physical world, your foundation, the home of your dance, the home of your birth. You are the point from which all things begin. Rest in this point of stillness for another minute. Slowly begin to deepen your breath, wiggling your fingers and toes. Glide your hands under your knees, bring your knees together. Roll over to your side, left or right. Put your hands into the floor, come up to sit. Holding the hands together, we'll close with the sound of Om. Allow yourself to arrive in this upright seat, still connected to the earth, but now upright. Deep breath in. Take a forward fold, sealing in your practice today. Beautiful. So I would like to use the remaining moments to connect what we did to how is this going to show up in your birth. So a few things that we practiced today. The first thing, we've focused a lot on the hips and this hip hinging action. So in your labor, whenever you're aware that it starts and for as long as you possibly can, you want to be in positions that help keep baby back, keep the pelvis back, and keep the belly forward, right? Because lying on your back, other than if you, for a specific reason, like we practiced, if we need to get baby back up to go down, then we lay on our back, and certainly now during pregnancy to release these ligaments in the front, like we just saw them on here. We have ligaments in the front that connect right here, and we have ligaments in the back. So we need to be doing things which has our pelvis square, tipping forward and tipping back to give the ligaments a chance just to relax, elongate, move, right, to bring balance to the uterus. So that's the first thing, is finding positions like hands and knees, hands on a chair, hands on a surface, right, on a desk maybe, where the hips are back and the belly is forward. That's going to help release the pelvic floor and give baby that room and the uterus a chance to find its balance for baby can descend. The second thing that we often have never really talked about, but that we really practice a lot today, is the asymmetrical stance. So if you don't have an epidural, hands and knees is great. Walking around, hinging forward, great. If you end up, if you end up having an epidural, being on hands and knees and being in that posture is not really possible. They're going to ask you to be on your back, but you have options. So the first thing we did today, the side lying release, that is totally doable. Side lying is fantastic during labor. If you had the epidural, you can ask them to help you roll over to your side. And you can be in that position. You can even come to the end of the bed and release the hip. You're still getting that asymmetrical hip release and that gluteal opening, the pelvic floor opening, even in the side lying position. So it's really important that you spend the next week practicing the postures that we did today. You'll have access to this practice, so you can practice the positions that we did with the hips level, right? All this leg work here with the hips level. So we're building strength. Maybe you're going to be a little tired, a little sore tomorrow. That's a good thing. We've come conditioning the muscles as well. So now to be strong, because labor is sometimes very long. And it's certainly intense. Whether it's short or long, it's intense. So hips square, belly forward, working in all those positions. Working the action of the pelvis, rocking it back and rocking it forward again, helping the body just to sort itself out and give baby room to move. And the final thing is the asymmetrical hip postures. Now, how does that look? So are you going to actually take like a squat and do this in labor? Probably not. You're not going to do this in labor, but what you might do is, let's say you're walking around. I'm going to just stand up here. Let's say you're at the hospital and you're, still too short. Okay, so you're laboring here. Maybe you have a chair in front of you. What you might do, you have a chair. Pretend this is a chair. You might put your foot on the chair. Do you see how this is really similar to what we did? The knee was forward and the leg was back. My hips are asymmetrical now. I can take this posture. If you were to look at my backside here, standing, it's like one place. I place my hip up here, all of a sudden my hips are wider. I have more room, and we're letting baby and uterus move into a position. So this asymmetrical stance applies to birthing positions, right? You can birth in this position. So here, you can switch sides, right? Do it a little bit on one side, a little bit on the other side. You can absolutely birth in this position. If I had a little more support, I would lean into it, right? Wobbly, right? So leaning into it, just like we did with the lunge. We were actually lunging. You can lunge into a chair. So maybe this week when you're, serving dinner to your toddlers, or you're just like preparing the table or cleaning the table. You can think about, you know, like get a good stretch. You can put your foot up on the chair. Put your foot up on the chair and lean forward into it. We're going to stretch on the inner thigh, which connects to the pelvic floor. You'll practice putting your body in these positions. So in labor, I'll be like, oh yeah, I can totally, this feels totally normal to put my leg up like this and kind of breathe and create space, right? So that's really our underlying goal. I think I said it last week. It's like making the unfamiliar familiar so that we are becoming more adept at being able to move with our body, with whatever we need to do, to feel in control, to feel like we're participating in our labor. Okay, so we have pelvis, level, pelvis front and back. We worked on the glute muscles today, worked on the leg muscles today. So doing this practice in such a way so that it's conditioning your body to have endurance. Our leg muscles, our glute muscles are some of the biggest in the body. So keep working them. We're gonna work the legs in different ways. We're gonna do a whole legs in a couple of weeks. Next week we'll do breathing. But the hip action, one last thing. So how do we integrate this into your daily life? If you're at home a lot, you're picking things up maybe off of the floor, you're picking up toddlers, I want you to pay attention to how you're picking things up. You can end up working these glute muscles. Instead of picking things up like this, I want you to think about picking things up with a little bit more of a hip hinge versus this, right? You see the difference? So not picking up like this, but picking up with a little bit more of a butt out, and then, right, butt out, right? So you can add this glute work into your week. Maybe, I don't know if you guys are thinking about things you do. I don't know if you have a dishwasher, if you're bending over, or a dryer maybe that has a front load thing, you're hinging over. If your habit is to just pay attention, maybe this week notice, like, how do I get the things out of the dryer? Am I like this? Or can you stick your butt out, make it a little wide stance, and you know, work your glutes, work your glutes. So your training this week is to really focus on hip hinging and asymmetrical stretches, right? You can do the practice that we did today, but you'll find, I want you to kind of see what else you can find as ways to practice hip hinging and practice that asymmetrical hip. So, you know, this could be a release, again, if you've got, you know, when you have an epidural, you can't be up and moving around so much. But if they're like, oh, baby's stalled or baby's not moving, you can do these releases, which can help create space for baby to keep moving down, right? So it's a really important one to know, whether even if you don't have an epidural, great, you can totally use it. If you've got pain, like back pain, right? Like you had back labor the first time, Melissa, right? So this is a great one that you could use actually to help relieve some of that back labor. To just, again, like create space. The asymmetrical stances are really useful for maneuvering, you know, repositioning, creating space, changing the sensations that you have, right? And there are things you can practice now, and I want you to practice this week to condition your body, get your muscles strong. And then also you would do them during the contractions themselves. And during the rest, you can just rest, like we took child's pose, right? You can rest in child's pose, you can rest seated, you can rest. I learned a really cool thing that apparently this third eye point, like we took child's pose today, this third eye point is very grounding. And especially for women in birth, that a lot of women like reflected back and they were like, oh yeah, I totally like, you know, I pressed my head hard into the bed, or I was pressing my head into this or that. Like this spot right here is a really grounding spot. So you might even think right now in all this craziness that we've got going on, if you're feeling like really flighty, hip work, leg work, these forward folds, this work we did today, plus child's pose with the head rested on the surface is very grounding. So with that, I'm leaving you with this work to do this week. Please reach out to me. Let me know what questions you have. Be in touch. Otherwise, we'll see you next week.